It's been 3 years of dating Ju Chenglin in secret, and he still refuses to go public with our relationship. At the party, someone teased me in front of him. "Lin, Jingji is so beautiful. Are you telling me you've never had feelings for her all these years?" Watching him clinking glasses with others, I felt a flicker of hope deep down. Leaning back in his chair, he casually brushed it off. "Don't talk nonsense. Jingji and I are just friends." I froze for a moment, suddenly feeling it was all rather pointless. "Yes, we're just ordinary friends, that's all." After I said those words, Ju Chenglin seemed to glance at me. The atmosphere in the room froze for a few seconds. Someone quickly chimed in with a laugh to smooth things over. "Perfect. My buddy's actually been wanting to ask Jingji out. Jingji, should I send you his WeChat?" I hadn't even responded yet. Ju Chenglin abruptly set down his glass, stood up, and walked behind my chair. He draped an arm loosely around my shoulders and shot a glance at the person who had spoken. "All right, that's enough. She's my one good friend. She's a decent girl, pure-hearted. Don't let your riffraff friends mess with her." I gently moved Ju Chenglin's hand away. I glanced at my friend, who looked somewhat embarrassed. "Just send it to me. Consider it a chance to make a new acquaintance." My friend promptly slid the business card over to me. I sent a friend request. Looking up, I met Ju Chenglin's eyes glinting with ambiguous amusement. A dull ache throbbed in my chest. Instinctively, I started to rise from my seat. Ju Chenglin held me in place, pulling out his phone and opening the camera. "Jingji, look at the lens." The lens captured both our faces. One face was dashingly handsome, with a roguishly charming smile. His face was pale, with a vacant, lost look in his eyes. After taking the photo, he immediately posted it on his social media with the caption, "Long live friendship." Suddenly, everything felt utterly meaningless to me. This is the 3rd year of my relationship with Ju Chenglin, but in this whole world, only he and I knew. After stepping out of the restroom, I stood before the mirror and opened that WeChat moment. I commented "Long live friendship" underneath it. Then I left early, too. Ju Chenglin called to ask where I'd gone. I told him I wasn't feeling well, and he didn't press further. He told me to get some rest before hanging up. Instead of going back to my rental, I went to Ju Chenglin's place. Occasionally I'd stay over at his place, but there wasn't a single trace of me in the living room or any common areas. All my belongings were tucked away in the master bathroom. Ju Chenglin didn't want our relationship to be public. I don't want my personal feelings to become public discussion. If you can accept this, then let's be together. This was the reason he gave me, so impeccably righteous, truth be told. Even if he hadn't given me any reason, I probably couldn't have refused anyway. After all, I owe the Ju family and Ju Chenglin a great debt of gratitude. Looking back now, it wasn't his private feelings that he didn't want to bring to light. It was just me, Fu Jingji. I scanned my fingerprint and went straight to the master bedroom, but as I passed through the living room, my eyes landed on a strawberry bear plush sitting on the sofa. That wasn't a plush I had bought. And something so childish certainly didn't belong to Ju Chenglin either. Suddenly, it all clicked. That WeChat moment from tonight, he must have posted it for some girl to see, but strangely, I don't feel as upset as I thought I would. After clearing out my things from the master bedroom, I took off the necklace I'd worn around my neck for 3 years. Its pendant was a ring, a gift from Ju Chenglin. Yet for all those years, I never dared to wear it openly, since it's something that's out of place. There's no reason to keep it. 3. On the 3rd day in Harbor City, Ju Chenglin gave me a call. I didn't pick up. About half an hour later, he sent a message, "I'll hold on to the ring for 3 days." I understood what he meant. We used to have our occasional disagreements. He would always give me the silent treatment. In the end, I was always the one who had to work through it alone. Over these years, we've gone from college to entering the real world. I quietly followed in his footsteps. From Shanghai all the way to settling in Beijing, I never once thought of giving up before, but now, I'm truly exhausted. I replied to him, "No need to keep it, just throw it away." Ju Chenglin didn't reply to any more messages. I stared at the WeChat interface for a while, then I blocked his account. Ju Chenglin's expression darkened. He poured himself another drink and downed it in one go. He overheard someone mention her. "My buddy seems to be serious about her." He even called me in the middle of the night, saying he's genuinely into her. Ju Chenglin suddenly set down his glass. "She won't agree to it. Tell him not to waste his energy." "Lin, how do you know Jingji would refuse?" Ju Chenglin kept his eyes lowered. staring at his phone as he swiped the screen intermittently, because Fu Jingji is in love with someone else, completely head over heels. Not even your buddies could help. If gods themselves showed up, it'd be useless. After saying that, he grabbed his cigarette pack, stood up, and walked out, closing the door. He left the noise behind him. Zhu Chenglin lit a cigarette and unlocked his screen again. The chat window still showed Fu Jingji's last message. Just throw it away. He took a deep drag from his cigarette. But it did nothing to ease the restlessness in his heart. He fired off another harsh reply. It's already gone. But the message failed to send, the red exclamation mark glaring back at him. He's been blocked. Zhu Chenglin froze for a moment, then let out an exasperated laugh. Interesting, it's rare to see Fu Jingji throw such a tantrum with him. Let's see how long she can keep this up. 5. Time flew by during my stay in Hong Kong. A whole week had passed in the blink of an eye. The night before my vacation ended and I had to return to Beijing. While I was hanging out with my friends, I ran into a senior from my high school days, just as Jiyu Yangjing walked in. Dressed in a sharp black business suit, tall and poised, my two best friends nudged me at the same time and started teasing. I felt a bit awkward, and maybe from the drinks, my cheeks were burning, but Jiyu Yangjing stood there, his gaze resting openly on my face. Jingji, it's been a while. I quickly rose to my feet. Senior Jiyu, it's good to see you again. After Jiyu Yangjing took his seat, my best friend gently tugged at my sleeve. Jingji, I only posted on moments that you're in Hong Kong to unwind. Senior Jiyu liked it the very same day. He's been living abroad all these years and rarely comes back. Tonight, he must be here for you. I instinctively glanced at Jiyu Yangjing. He was slightly turned away, speaking with the friend beside him. In that fleeting glance, I caught sight of his sharp, well-defined jawline. Even back in school days he was quiet and reserved, but now he seems even more profound and restrained, intimidating. Really? I quickly averted my gaze and shook my head. He just said he was passing by. What are the odds? I don't buy it. But when the gathering ended, Jiyu Yangjing offered to see me home. Before I could refuse, my two best friends had already made an exit together. Jiyu Yangjing hadn't been drinking, so he didn't use a driver. On the way back to the hotel, I suddenly got a call from a friend in the capital. Jingji, let's meet up tomorrow night. Brother Lin has a new girlfriend and wants to introduce her to everyone. It's his first time bringing someone. I probably won't make it back in time. You guys go ahead without me. Don't say that. Brother Lin specifically told us to invite you. You're his closest friend. I gazed at the bustling cityscape flashing past the car window and smiled faintly. We're just casual acquaintances. Whether I show up or not doesn't really matter. Jingji, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up now. Without waiting for a response, I ended the call. More calls came through, but I ignored everyone. Gradually, the phone fell silent. The car came to a stop as well. Jiyu Yangjing turned to look at me. Jingji, we're here. I didn't turn around. My gaze still fixed out the car window. The dazzling display of luxury and excess stung my eyes. Yet all that remained in my heart was a hollow numbness. Senior, I whispered, catching sight of my own vacant, lost eyes reflected in the glass, and then the words just slipped out. Want to come up with me? 6. The moment the door closed, Jiyu Yangjing cupped my face and kissed me deeply. His kiss was intense and passionate. Panic surged through me. I tried to bite him, but he captured my tongue with his mouth. My mind went completely blank, as if exploding into white noise. My legs turned to jelly, too weak to support me. Jiyu Yangjing held me close, pulling me against his chest. I caught a faint whiff of cedarwood, subtly laced with the scent of tobacco. It was strangely intoxicating. When he leaned in again, I didn't push him away. Only, what followed wasn't quite what I had imagined. Jiyu Yangjing, you're being too rough. That's not right, you're hurting me. Jiyu Yangjing, do you even know what you're doing? I'm sorry. Jingji, haven't you ever had a girlfriend before? He came to a halt, breathing heavily, his forehead sweat dripping onto my chest. It took immense effort to hold back the overwhelming tide of desire. The dim, uncertain light fell across his sharp, handsome features. He seemed to smile, or maybe I just imagined it. Yeah, after getting rejected back then, it hurt too much. Never dated again. I was momentarily stunned. It took a while for the foggy memories to come back to me. Back in school, I was the one who turned him down. Truth be told, I wasn't completely unmoved back then. It's just, fate had other plans. Fu Jingji, care for another round? Jiyu Yangjing brushed aside the damp strands of hair clinging to my forehead. I saw my own reflection in the depths of his dark pupils. It felt so unfamiliar that it actually made me shy. This time, the experience was distinctly different from before. I clutched his arm tightly, my fingertips digging into his firm muscles. He suddenly lowered his head and kissed me tenderly, his movements growing deeper and more intense. By the time it was all over, I was so exhausted I couldn't even lift a finger. Jiyu Yangjing helped me drink half a glass of water. I finished it in a daze, then closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep. In my dazed state, I felt his hand gently close around mine. Jiyu Yangjing, a soft, tender kiss brushed against my forehead. Good night, Jingji. 7. The young woman sitting beside Zhu Chenglin was strikingly beautiful. She's the kind of stunning beauty that takes your breath away at first glance. But somehow, she doesn't have Fu Jingji's lasting appeal. In the past, this seat was always occupied by Jingji. Now with someone new sitting here, everyone feels a bit unsettled. But she was, after all, the first girlfriend Zhu Chenglin ever made public. Everyone remained quite polite and warm. Jingji probably really can't make it back in time. Yeah, Gang Cheng is so far away, it's understandable. Brother Lin, shall we stop waiting? The girl beside Zhu Chenglin asked curiously. Chenglin, who is Jingji? He gave a faint smile and said, just an ordinary friend. Then let's invite her next time. I'm getting hungry. Alright, let's eat. Zhu Chenglin reached for his glass. The atmosphere grew livelier. He was starting to feel a bit tipsy. The girl beside me had a bit to drink. And she looked even more charming and radiant. The friends were chatting and laughing boisterously. Zhu Chenglin thought it was no big deal. The world keeps turning even without her around. Women and friends still surrounded him. It makes no difference whether she's here or not. What's with today? Everyone's announcing their relationships. Who's going public now? Back in our school days, Jiyu Yangjing was even more popular than Brother Lin. Zhu Chenglin's heart skipped a beat. What happened to Jiyu Yangjing? He just posted his first WeChat Moments update today, clearly announcing his girlfriend to the world. His friend casually handed the phone to Zhu Chenglin. He saw a line of text. Past wishes all fulfilled, new aspirations for the coming year. The accompanying image showed two hands clasped together. Zhu Chenglin recognized it almost instantly. The one being firmly held by the man's large hand, it was Fu Jingji's hand. There was a deep scar on her ring finger. It was left from an accidental injury he caused 3 years ago. He had comforted her back then, saying the scar was conveniently placed, a ring would cover it perfectly. She was still upset, but his words quickly turned her tears into laughter. True to his word, he later bought her a ring, yet from start to finish, he never allowed her to wear it in public. 8. But now this very hand was held in another man's palm, and that man was none other than Jiyu Yangjing. Zhu Chenglin suddenly let out a laugh. It seemed he genuinely found it amusing, or perhaps he was simply seething with rage. He tossed his phone aside and stood up, his face as cold as frost. Chenglin. The girl beside him seemed startled by his abruptness. She called out again in a timid voice, but Zhu Chenglin appeared not to hear her at all. He didn't even spare her a glance. The girl, feeling utterly wronged, jogged after him. Can I come with you? I don't want to stay here. Zhu Chenglin grabbed her wrist and shoved her away forcefully. If you don't want to be here, then don't ever come back. He flung the door open and strode out of the room. The pent-up emotions in his chest swelled until he felt they might burst through his skin. Without stopping, he made his way to the elevator and rode it down to the first floor. It wasn't until he got in the car that the roar of the engine brought him back to his senses. What was he going to do? Where was he headed? He knew perfectly well she wasn't in Beijing. He knew perfectly well she had taken everything that belonged to her from the house. He knew perfectly well she was now in Harbor City. Zhu Chenglin suddenly slammed his fist hard against the steering wheel. The horn blared. It pierced through the thick darkness with a sharp intensity. The phone suddenly rang out. Abrupt and jarring, he swiped to answer. Mrs. Zhu's voice was as elegant as ever. Chenglin, when are you coming back to the old house? Bring Jingji along. Both of you should come together. I'm afraid that won't be possible these next few days. Jingji and I had a bit of a disagreement. She's giving me the cold shoulder and even blocked me. What's wrong, Mrs.? Zhu chuckled at his nonchalant tone. Alright then, I'll give her a call. But what did you do to Jingji this time? She seems really upset. Zhu Chenglin flicked his lighter absently and smiled. How should I know? After the call ended, he tossed his phone into the glove compartment. Then he spotted the necklace Fu Jingji had left in his apartment that day. The pendant held a diamond-encrusted ring. Though the diamond seemed rather modest in size, Zhu Chenglin noted her birthday fell on the 8th day of the 11th lunar month. Almost there, why not get her an 8-carat diamond ring, then make their relationship public, just as she wanted, followed by a proposal. 9. When Jiyu Yangjing returned to the hotel carrying several paper bags, I was sitting on the terrace, wrapped in a lightweight cashmere blanket, lost in thought. He handed me a hot drink with a straw already inserted. This place serves the most authentic Hong Kong-style milk tea. Would you like to try it? Thank you. I took the milk tea and looked up at him instinctively. Harbor City was overcast with continuous rain today, and the temperature dropped sharply. Jiyu Yangjing had only worn a thin trench coat when he went out, and his ears were slightly red from the cold. Have some too, to warm up, he agreed, but didn't take the hot drink. All right. Instead, he wrapped his arms around me from behind. I took small sips of my milk tea. Jiyu Yangjing lowered his head and pressed a kiss by my ear. It tickled a little, making me turn my face away to avoid it, but Jiyu Yangjing's kiss landed on my lips instead. The laughter in his voice mingled with the kiss as our lips met. Didn't you say I should have some milk tea too? I instinctively opened my mouth to retort, but not a single word escaped. His kiss consumed me before I could speak. The milk tea cup tumbled aside, leaving a sodden mess on the carpet. But his disheveled clothes told an even more chaotic story. The hem was stained with large, dark patches from watermarks. Outside the window, a dreary drizzle veiled the world in mist, yet inside, a moist, vernal warmth seemed to permeate the air. I found myself hesitant to meet his gaze. His gaze felt almost scorching in its intensity. Someone usually so restrained and self-disciplined, yet here he was staring with such raw desire. I could only turn away and bury my face against his shoulder. Jingji. Noticing my shyness, Jiyu Yangjing's husky voice carried a hint of laughter. He held me tighter, yet his kisses grew even more tender. In my dazed state, I saw our intertwined reflections in the glass. Shaken into a blur, it took a long while before everything finally settled down. After his shower, Jiyu Yangjing found me lounging against the headboard. He then carried me to the bath, washed me, and helped me into a robe. While drying my hair, a strand fell from behind my ear, and I instinctively reached up to tuck it back. Jiyu Yangjing had already gently tucked my stray hair behind my ear before I could react. Thank you, I murmured again softly. Jiyu Yangjing sounded somewhat resigned as he said, Jingji, must you always be so formal with me? I wasn't quite sure how to respond. Even after that recent absurd episode, everything still feels like an unreal dream. The sweet aroma of milk tea lingers on my lips, yet I feel transported back to that winter night years ago. The sky had already grown dark by the time the extra lessons ended. The street stretched long and dark, yet strangely empty of people. Jiyu Yangjing happened to be passing by. Hey, Fu Jingji, what a coincidence. He stood at the crossroads in a black overcoat, a faint smile playing on his lips. Back in school days, he was always so serious and rarely smiled. For a moment, I was completely mesmerized. That evening, he walked me home in his capacity as my senior. On the way, we shared a roasted sweet potato. The wind was howling, and snow began to fall. He stood against the wind, shielding me from the snow. As we bowed our heads, our foreheads gently touched. Yet we parted all too soon. In that moment, my heart quivered ever so slightly. Back then, I thought it was the sweet beginning of innocent love. Little did I know fate had orchestrated but a fleeting illusion of an encounter. Whether it was years ago or at this very moment years later, 15 minutes ago, when Jiyu Yangjing went to take a shower, I received a call from Mrs. Zhu. She wanted me to go back to the Zhu family for dinner with Zhu Chenglin. I initially declined politely, but Mrs. Zhu mentioned that Zhu Chenglin's father would also be there. Since he rarely comes back, he wanted to see me. Hearing her mention Zhu Chenglin's father made my heart race with uncontrollable tremors. I felt like a fugitive hiding from the light, restless, trembling, with ice-cold hands and feet. Even after the call ended, I still hadn't recovered from the shock. That year, my budding feelings for Jiyu Yangjing had just begun to stir, not yet fully formed. It was a single phone call from Mrs. Zhu that completely altered the course of my life. That tender feeling was nipped in the bud before it could ever blossom. And now, the wheels of fate have realigned, toying with me as if by some cruel destiny. I feel like a pitiful coward. I dare not let Jiyu Yangjing catch even the slightest glimpse of those shameful and humiliating memories. Jiyu Yangjing, 10. I took a deep breath, deliberately feigning complete ease and nonchalance. I'm heading back to the capital. What's wrong? My flight's tonight. Beneath the blanket, my hands had unconsciously intertwined and clenched tight. My right thumb was mindlessly picking at the old scar on my ring finger. A dull, throbbing pain set in, as if I'd scratched it raw, yet I couldn't make myself stop. I just smiled at Jiyu Yangjing and said, "Let's not contact each other anymore. What happened between us these past couple days was consensual, so we're even. Let's just pretend none of this ever happened." With that, I stood up and headed to my room. I was afraid if I stayed another second, I wouldn't be able to hold back my tears, but Jiyu Yangjing gripped my wrist tightly. "Fu Jingji, what happened? Please tell me." But I couldn't bring myself to say it. How do I even begin to explain this? While working for the Zhu family, my mother seduced Zhu Chenglin's father. One of the family's drivers caught them and used this to blackmail her into sleeping with him. Enraged by her refusal, the driver flew into a humiliated fury. He drove drunk and killed her in a fit of rage. Zhu Chenglin's parents nearly divorced over this. I was left an orphan too, but in the end, Mrs. Zhu put the past behind her, adopted me, and supported me all the way through college. The lawyer she hired also represented me in my mother's lawsuit. That's how the driver ended up receiving a heavy sentence for intentional homicide. To my younger self, her returning good for evil felt like an overwhelmingly profound act of grace. Back then, Zhu Chenglin never took out his elders' grudges on me. On the contrary, he was always kind to me. If not for these 3 years of secret romance, perhaps we could have truly remained friends for life. Yet the truth remains, none of us can ever go back. I pulled my hand away from Jiyu Yangjing's grasp. 11. I could feel his gaze, intense, yet filled with anguish. It enveloped me completely, but I still couldn't bring myself to look at him. "No, nothing happened. It's just time for me to go." "Go where?" Jiyu Yangjing gently pressed his hand on my shoulder, but then his hands slid down my arms and finally, he held me tight in an embrace. He lowered his head, burying his face against the side of my neck. "Don't go back, Fu Jingji. He's not good to you at all." Jiyu Yangjing held me so tightly, as if trying to press my entire being into his own body. "Don't go back to him, even if it can't be me. Just don't let it be him." My tears finally fell. It silently soaked through his shirt. "Jiyu Yangjing." I didn't know how to tell him. There's absolutely no chance between me and Zhu Chenglin. The tangled history with the Zhu family can never be unraveled. I don't want to hurt Jiyu Yangjing. Deep down, I'm utterly resistant to him knowing what I've been through. It's too awful, too shameful to put into words. It's getting late, and I need to catch my flight. I grabbed his arm and gradually pushed him away with increasing force. His eyes were bloodshot. My own eyes were also brimming with tears. I still managed a smile for him. "Jiyu Yangjing, take care of yourself." He didn't say a word, just gently wiped the tears from the corner of my eye. "If things don't feel right when you're back in Beijing, you can always reach out to me." I wanted to give him one more smile. I nodded vigorously, but the tears just wouldn't stop falling. No matter how hard I tried to wipe them away, winter in the capital is bitterly cold. 12. The moment I stepped off the plane, a chill ran through me, and I quickly pulled my coat tighter. As I followed the stream of people out, I spotted Zhu Chenglin instantly in the crowd waiting at arrivals. He was exceptionally tall, with strikingly handsome features. It was impossible for him not to stand out. "Mom asked me to pick you up." He walked over, took my suitcase without a word, and turned to leave. After a few steps, he glanced back and tossed out a stiff remark. "I didn't want to come." I gave a faint smile, my face betraying no emotion. Zhu Chenglin seemed to clench his jaw. "Thank you." He turned and strode off with long, purposeful steps, pulling his suitcase with an air of determination. I didn't quicken my pace either. I simply maintained my own rhythm, moving forward at a steady walk. By the time I reached the car, he had already loaded the luggage. Standing by the passenger side, he shot me an impatient look. "Stop dawdling. I've got plans tonight." I didn't take the front seat. Instead, I opened the rear door. "Fu Jingji." Zhu Chenglin's face was darker than the Beijing sky at this very moment. I looked at him calmly and said, "Isn't the passenger seat reserved for girlfriends?" He must have been so exasperated by me that he laughed, then slammed the car door shut with force. "You're really making a scene, huh? Fine. Sit wherever the hell you want." We didn't exchange a single word the whole way. When we reached the Jew residence, I glanced at the brilliantly lit main building. My legs felt like they were filled with lead, unbearably heavy. Ju Chenglin also came to a halt. In the twilight glow, he looked down at me with a condescending gaze. "What are you afraid of? He's not going to eat you. It's not fear, I just don't know how to face him, and I'm ashamed to face the man I once called Uncle Ju. Alright, I'm leaving early in a bit, come with me." Ju Chenglin finished speaking and walked ahead, yet I remained standing in place, unmoving. He turned back with an impatient click of his tongue. "What are you standing there for? Fu Jingji, come here, quick." He waved me over with a gesture that felt deeply familiar. It was just like all those times he'd waited for me before and after school. I suddenly felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Honestly, being just regular friends doesn't seem so bad after all. I smiled at Ju Chenglin and said, "You're here," but he froze for a moment. Then, for some reason, he shot me a glare, yet their pace gradually slowed. The meal passed in quiet tranquility. Uncle Ju's health has been declining these past 2 years, and is considering moving back to Beijing permanently. Mrs. Ju remained non-committal about the matter. Their marital relationship has been frozen solid over the years. They barely exchange a word at the dinner table, not even arguments break the silence, and this silence has become the heaviest burden weighing on my heart. After dinner, Uncle Ju summoned Ju Chenglin to his study, but within half an hour, Ju Chenglin stormed downstairs and dragged me away. As we left, I couldn't resist glancing back. In the lamplight, Mrs. Ju's face was stern and expressionless. My heart suddenly clenched with a tremor. I spent a considerable period living with the Ju family over the years. Naturally, I had frequent interactions with Madame Ju as well, but it was the first time I saw such an expression on her usually gentle and affectionate face. That chilling expression sent shivers down my spine. Before I could process it, Ju Chenglin had already dragged me into the car. For some reason, he was absolutely furious. Speeding all the way home, when we pulled up, he ordered me upstairs in a cold, hard tone. "Once I move out of this house, I'm never coming back, just like that clandestine affair we had. When I say I'm done, I mean it. Nothing in this world could drag me back. Fu Jingji, get out of the car, I'm not going up with you." I picked up my phone, unlocked the screen, and stared calmly at him standing outside the car door. "If you try to force me, I'll call the police." "Then go ahead and call the police. While you're at it, ask them if it's illegal for a boyfriend to bring his girlfriend home." Ju Chenglin, "We've already broken up. I never said we were breaking up. What's the point of rehashing all this now?" I found it absurd, but was too exhausted to even laugh. "Ju Chenglin, I don't want to argue with you. I'm exhausted and just want to go home to sleep. Didn't you say at the airport that you had plans tonight? Go ahead with your business. I'll just take a cab back." Ju Chenglin stood outside the car, enveloped by the deep night. His gaze held mine, profound and unwavering. After a long moment, he conceded with unusual softness, "Let me walk you home. One more refusal, Fu Jingji. And you won't be going home tonight." I chose to hold my tongue. 13. Ju Chenglin has a deeply ingrained stubborn streak. Pushing back against him wouldn't do me any good. When the car pulled up outside my rental apartment, I thanked him and made to get out. But then Ju Chenglin turned around and called out to me, "Your birthday is on the 8th, which is next week. On your birthday, let's make a clean break for good." I want to say, that's really not necessary, honestly. Parting ways quietly like this is for the best. Meeting again won't be awkward. We can still hang out naturally with mutual friends, just like before. My parents said we should take advantage of us both being in Beijing to give you a proper celebration. You wouldn't turn down your benefactor, would you? When Ju Chenglin put it that way, I had no grounds left to refuse. "Fine, have it your way." I pulled the car door open and got out, without lingering. Ju Chenglin immediately turned the car around and drove off. The winter night's wind was bitterly cold. After just a few steps, the chill had seeped right through me. I lowered my head, pulled my coat tighter, and quickened my pace toward the building entrance. As I approached the building, I suddenly noticed something in the shadows of the trees to one side. The orange streetlight cast a long, slender shadow. Jiyu Yangjing stood in the chilly night breeze of Beijing, wearing only a thin trench coat. He had been standing there for who knows how long, I stopped in my tracks, staring at him blankly. Jiyu Yangjing. As he walked toward me, Beijing was graced with its first snowfall. Snowflakes settled on his hair and shoulders, yet he paid them no mind. Gently, he brushed the snow from my bangs instead. Time seemed to roar past, hurtling us back to that winter. Then, Jiyu Yangjing pulled out a roasted sweet potato from his coat, still warm to the touch. He broke it in half and handed one piece to me. I took it in a daze, the sweet aroma slowly blooming on my tongue. Tears fell without warning. He kept his head down, our foreheads occasionally brushing against each other. We just stood there like fools in Beijing's first snowfall, eating that roasted sweet potato, Fu Jingji. His slender fingers brushed against the corner of my lips, wiping away a small smudge of black stain. What am I going to do? My family kicked me out. My parents said the Jiyu family hasn't produced a single irresponsible man for generations. Why, so, an outlier like me has no home to return to, even if I wanted. He was smiling, but his eyes held no warmth. I felt a faint pang in my heart, a wave of bitterness washed over me. Perhaps the snow was falling heavier now, so my vision blurred as well. But Jiyu Yangjing, I don't need you to take responsibility for this. Besides, this isn't my first time. The remaining words were suddenly swallowed by Jiyu Yangjing's kiss. His lips were cold, as if snowflakes had melted upon them, yet that kiss burned with searing heat. It nearly melted me into a puddle of snowmelt. Fu Jingji, you know it well, I'm in love with you, none of that matters to me. He cradled my face and kissed away my tears. No text to translate. Tonight, I'm making a bet with myself. If you don't come back, I'll try to convince myself to let go and stop bothering you. But if you do come back, this time I won't let you go no matter what. His gaze burned into me, yet deep within his eyes flickered a trace of joy. That joy was so faint, so timid, my heart softened, making it impossible to break the moment. Right there in the entryway, Jiyu Yangjing kissed me again. 14. As he helped me take off my coat and scarf, he wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me into his embrace. Our bodies pressed together with no space left between us. I could sense an impatience in him that seemed out of character. Jiyu Yangjing, you seem rather eager. His slender fingers began rolling up the hem of my cashmere sweater. Slightly calloused fingertips traced the soft flesh at my waist. His scorching palm gripped my waist again, pulling me back into his embrace. His kiss was fierce and deep. I closed my eyes, rising on my toes to meet him. Don't rush, Jiyu Yangjing. We have the whole night ahead of us. He looked down at me and smiled. It seemed like the first time since we met this time, that I saw genuine warmth in his eyes. Jiyu Yangjing intertwined his fingers with mine as we descended together. Fu Jingji. Then it settled, we said the entire night, and not a single second less. That night, the snow fell ceaselessly until dawn. The snow had melted away overnight. Zhu Chenglin was the quintessential young master among young masters. 15. His days were always filled with lavish indulgence, surrounded by friends. Never knowing a moment of loneliness or boredom, but these past few days, he often felt as though time was crawling by. The very pleasures I used to lose myself in now feel as tasteless as chewing wax. In that perpetually reserved room atop the club, while my friends were noisily enjoying their games of cards and billiards, an overwhelming sense of boredom and restless impatience completely flooded over me in that moment. Zhu Chenglin tossed the pool cue aside, grabbed his phone, and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window. Just as he unlocked the screen, a WeChat message popped up. It was a few blurry photos. The background showed a crowded, noisy supermarket. The man and woman standing before the dazzling array of shelves were smiling at each other. In another photo, Jiyu Yangjing had his arm wrapped around her waist. Her body language showed not a hint of resistance. Zhu Chenglin's eyes gradually narrowed. If the previous photo of clasped hands was something he dismissed with a laugh and didn't take seriously, these new photos struck him like a gleaming blade, suddenly carving out a piece of his flesh. The pain hadn't even registered before the blood began to pour. As a man, and one who had experienced matters of the heart, he could tell at a single glance. The two of them had already been physically intimate, and not just once. Zhu Chenglin saw his own bloodshot eyes reflected in the floor-to-ceiling window. His eyes were wide with fury, and his face was contorted into a near snarl. He fought to hold back, but in the end, he couldn't contain himself. The phone slammed into the ground, shattering into pieces. The lively, decadent revelry came to an abrupt halt. Everyone turned to look at him, their faces a mix of shock and fear. Yet Ju Chenglin restrained himself, gradually calming down. He turned back to the crowd, his expression and tone both calm. "Carry on with your game, don't stop." With that, he stepped out and said, "I'm heading out for a bit, don't wait up for me tonight." He left the room, and the door closed behind him. The hallway was completely empty. Ju Chenglin kept walking forward until he spotted a waiter. "Give me the phone." He extended his hand. Though the waiter was confused, he immediately and deferentially took out his phone and handed it over. Ju Chenglin dialed Fu Jingji's number. When had her phone number become so deeply ingrained in his memory, he couldn't remember anymore. But none of that mattered. He needed to hear her voice now. He had to see her. "I need to get her away from Jiyu Yangjing. Away from that scoundrel who could lure her away with just a roasted sweet potato." But the moment Fu Jingji heard his voice, she hung up immediately. When he called back, she refused to answer. Ju Chenglin lit a cigarette and held it between his lips. He sent a message to Fu Jingji, "Don't make me come find you in person." She picked up on the third call, obediently. She must be trying to avoid Jiyu Yangjing, afraid he might overhear. Her voice sounded as guilty as a thief's. Ju Chenglin felt his heart racing wildly, his blood boiling as if on fire, scorching him from the inside out. "Fu Jingji, go tell Jiyu Yangjing right now that you were just acting on a whim and playing around with him. You don't actually like him, and you never will. Tell him to get the hell back to where he came from. I'll pretend none of this ever happened. I'm forgiving you this once, and this is the only time." There was a full 30 seconds of silence on the other end of the line. 16. Ju Chenglin could hear his own breathing, even his heartbeat. Those few dozen seconds stretched on so long he felt like he was suffocating. That night in Hong Kong, it might have been a moment of impulse, but not anymore. "I had a crush on him in high school, so it's only natural if I fall for him again now, and Ju Chenglin, we're just friends. Friends don't get to meddle in each other's love lives. When we were together, you never truly acknowledged me. Now that I'm with someone else, nothing I do requires your forgiveness, Ju Chenglin. Let's move on. We had good times, let's part amicably." She walked away without giving him a chance to respond. He hung up the phone again. Ju Chenglin clutched his phone, his hand frozen in place. Outside the window, he saw a blizzard raging with relentless force. Last year's storm had been just as fierce. Back then, Fu Jingji was at his place, and they cooked hot pot together. After the meal, she curled up on the sofa binge-watching her favorite show. He ended up dozing off with his head resting on her lap. Just as he was drifting off, she seemed to steal a gentle kiss. He pretended not to know at the time, yet a faint, almost theatrical sweetness stirred in his heart. Fu Jingji took after her mother, possessing striking beauty, the kind of beauty that makes every man want to marry her and take her home. Back then, he found himself irresistibly drawn to her, yet deep down, he looked down on her humble origins and troubled past. That's why from the very beginning, he made it clear their relationship would never go public. He couldn't bear the thought of his childhood friends teasing him about it in private. Fu Jingji's mother seduced his father, and then Fu Jingji went and seduced him. In his view, the fact that both he and his father had fallen for this mother-daughter pair was nothing to be proud of. On one hand, he was fond of her, sometimes even to the point of helpless infatuation. On the other hand, he soberly reminded himself that he could never marry her. He thought he had everything under control. After all, the Ju family had shown her immense kindness, so she always obeyed him without question. Being docile and compliant, 3 years passed, and he had nearly forgotten. In her youth, Fu Jingji was a straightforward and vivacious girl who knew when to hold on and when to let go. She walked away from him. Clean break, no turning back, just as he wished. They remained nothing more than friends. We'll only ever be friends in this lifetime. At this thought, Ju Chenglin suddenly took out the velvet jewelry box he always kept with him from his pocket. The 11.8-carat diamond ring was originally meant to be given to her at her birthday celebration tomorrow, yet now, it sparkled brilliantly within the box. As if mocking him, Ju Chenglin handed both the phone and the box to the waiter. "Thanks for lending me your phone. I have no use for this diamond ring anymore. It's yours." His tone was surprisingly gentle and mellow. The waiter was utterly stunned and tried to decline, but he had already turned and walked away. "On my birthday, I made plans with Jiyu Yangjing, 17. After I get back from the Ju family, We'll have our own private celebration, just the two of us." When he saw me off, he was wearing the black cashmere coat I bought him, looking exceptionally handsome. I could tell he was a bit reluctant and downhearted. I stood on my tiptoes and gave him a gentle kiss. "Wait for me at home, we'll have hot pot." Jiu Yangjing nodded, then he pulled me into his arms and kissed me tenderly. We only parted reluctantly when the Zhu family's car arrived to pick me up. I got into the car, and it drove a long way off. Jiu Yangjing still stood by the roadside. Snow fell in thick, swirling flakes, blanketing the entire city. I pressed my face against the car window, watching him until he disappeared from view before finally looking away. Zhu Chenglin didn't show up to the birthday party the Zhu family threw for me. He said he'd end things with me for good on my birthday. Now there's no need. With his pride, there's no way he'd humble himself again after what I said on the phone that day. Like a breeze leaving no trace, we've settled back into being just friends. Maybe it's for the best. As I stepped out of the car, I sensed something off about the atmosphere at the Zhu family's ancestral home. It was eerily quiet, with barely a servant in sight. An inexplicable dread began creeping into my heart. For some reason, my mind flashed back to Madame Zhu's terrifyingly grim expression that day. I stopped in my tracks and fumbled for my phone in my bag. I dialed Jiu Yangjing's number, let it ring 3 times before hanging up. It was a scene from the drama we'd been binge-watching together just days before. A phone call that rings 3 times and then hangs up indicates unforeseen circumstances or potential danger. Jiu Yangjing would surely understand the signal and rush over immediately. The housemaid escorted me to the main building before taking her leave. 18. Madame Zhu was seated on the sofa wearing a frost-colored cheongsam with a stand-up collar. She smiled and beckoned me over for tea when she saw me. Her elegant face still radiated warmth and kindness. I began to wonder if I was just being overly sensitive. Or had I simply imagined it all that day? "Come, Jingji, have a cup of tea with me." The jade green tea rippled gently, its delicate fragrance wafting to the nose. I picked up the teacup and took a small sip, but then Madame Zhu suddenly stood up. "I almost forgot the gift I prepared for you. Wait here a moment. I'll go upstairs to get it." I hurried to stand up as well, but the world suddenly started spinning around me. "Mrs. Zhu quickly reached out to steady me. "Jingji, what's wrong? You look quite pale. Let me help you to your room to rest for a while. It's the same room you stayed in before. It's always kept clean." My eyes wouldn't open, and my body felt too weak to move. In my dazed state, I sensed the person supporting me had changed. I struggled to open my eyes wider to see who it was, but my vision remained blurry, until a familiar voice broke the silence. "Jingji, you've grown even more beautiful than your mother was in her youth, Uncle Zhu." I froze as if struck by lightning, but that fleeting moment of clarity was once again swallowed by the drug's effects. Then came a dizzying whirl, and I was shoved heavily onto the bed. The bedroom door closed. Madame Zhu stood rigidly downstairs, her back straight, staring fixedly at that tightly shut door. 19. Years ago, Fu Jingji's mother, Qin Ji, behind this very door, she screamed, wailed, and begged for help, pleading for her to show some mercy and save her, but in the end, she never went up. Back then, her family had fallen on hard times. While Zhu Bingchang's business was thriving, and he was utterly arrogant, he took a liking to Qin Ji, who worked for the Zhu family. Qin Ji was a single mother, beautiful, delicate, and the kind of woman who stirred a man's possessive instincts. After just a few encounters, Zhu Bingchang began to entertain certain thoughts about her. It wasn't Qin Ji who seduced him, he was the one who violated her. Qin Ji was an exceptionally timid and weak-willed woman, but initially, she did resist and even threatened to report Zhu Bingchang. However, Qin Ji had a daughter named Fu Jingji whom she cherished like a precious jewel. Zhu Bingchang intimidated her with a few threats involving Fu Jingji, and she immediately backed down. Meanwhile, she watched helplessly as her husband grew increasingly infatuated with Qin Ji. She had raged, resented, wept, and confronted him. In the end, all she could do was swallow her anguish and endure. The Zhu family's driver was a distant relative of hers. Qin Ji's death was orchestrated entirely by her. Zhu Bingchang must have figured it out later. In his rage, he assaulted her several times. In the end, because of Zhu Chenglin's presence, the Zhu family patriarch had the final say. The divorce didn't go through, but they became a resentful couple. Qin Ji was already dead. For the sake of the Zhu family's reputation and his own dignity in front of his son, the truth of the matter was completely distorted. The victim was branded a shameless slut. Though the murderer received a heavy sentence, their family obtained a massive fortune that could last them a lifetime of lavish spending. The mastermind brushed off their sleeves and left the capital, continuing to live in luxury and privilege. She also adopted Qin Ji's daughter, Fu Jingji. She treated her as if she were her own daughter. Those close friends who knew about this praised her for returning good for evil and having noble character. Her son also felt both sympathy and respect for her, but only she herself knew, her heart had long been twisted, she had long gone mad. Perhaps she had raised Fu Jingji precisely for this day. She imagined that Qin Ji's daughter's screams of agony would sound even more melodious than Qin Ji's own had been in the past. She couldn't comprehend how such a shameless mother and daughter could exist in this world. The mother had seduced her husband, now the daughter was following in her footsteps, trying to seduce her son. She had been turning a blind eye, thinking Zhu Chenglin's flings were harmless, and at first, that's exactly how it was. For 3 years, it was just some trash he never dared to bring into the open. But now Zhu Chenglin is actually considering marrying her. Even Zhu Bingchang refused to give up his wicked ambitions. Then she can't be blamed for what happens. Fu Jingji was digging her own grave. The screeching of brakes suddenly erupted in waves across the courtyard. 20 Mrs. Zhu jolted awake and spun around abruptly. Jiyu Yangjing and Zhu Chenglin charged through the door and up the stairs almost simultaneously. The bedroom door burst open. Zhu Bingchang tumbled off the bed in terror, his clothes disheveled and injuries visible on his face and body. Just as the door opened, Zhu Chenglin abruptly halted in his tracks. Jiyu Yangjing, take her to the hospital. He stood outside the door, turning sideways without so much as a glance inside. Jiyu Yangjing was taken aback, yet his footsteps never faltered. He quickly carried Fu Jingji out. She was still unconscious, and Jiyu Yangjing wrapped her body tightly in his overcoat. Zhu Chenglin took one glance and turned his face away. Jingji's hand slipped out from the overcoat and hung limply. He noticed the old scar on her ring finger, but there were also fresh, mottled wounds scattered across her skin. One of her fingernails was torn off, leaving a raw, bleeding wound. He couldn't bear to look any longer. The house was eerily quiet. A deathly silence hung in the air. It felt as if invisible threads were tightening around one's heart. Zhu Chenglin had no recollection of how he made it down the stairs. Madame Zhu called his name several times in a row, but he seemed not to hear her at all. He walked straight through the living room and out into the garden. He moved like a walking corpse. Snowflakes as large as goose feathers swallowed the whole world. Zhu Chenglin stood there motionless, unaware of how much time had passed, until his entire body was blanketed in snow. Then his knees buckled, and he collapsed to the ground in despair. The very thing he had scorned was, in fact, what deserved to scorn him. The one he'd always looked down upon was, in fact, himself. The one who was truly unworthy wasn't Fu Jingji after all, it was him and the entire Zhu family. He should count himself lucky now. In the eyes of the world, she had never been with someone like him. Even he himself found the blood running through his veins utterly repulsive. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital, 21, and Jiyu Yangjing was right there, keeping watch by my bedside. His bloodshot eyes lit up the moment he saw me open mine. Jingji, you're awake. I gave a slight nod. My throat burned as if I'd swallowed a mouthful of charcoal. Would you like some water? Jiyu Yangjing quickly got up, prepared a cup of warm honey water, and brought it to the bedside. He then lifted me up, held me in his arms, and helped me drink it. You can have some porridge later. Jiyu Yangjing gently touched my forehead and naturally leaned down to give me a kiss. I instinctively looked at him. I hadn't even asked yet, but he seemed to know exactly what I was going to ask. Nothing happened. Don't be afraid. After a brief pause, he added, actually, we should thank Zhu Chenglin this time. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have made it there so quickly. Nestled in his embrace, I slowly turned my face toward the window and asked, is it still snowing? The snow has stopped. It should be sunny tomorrow. Jingji, from now on, every day will be filled with sunshine. After all those who deserved punishment were impartially and mercilessly brought to justice by the law, 21, everything was finally settled. I could finally let go of all the burdens on my mind. Jiyu Yangjing accompanied me to visit my mother. Her previous burial plot was in the most remote corner of the cemetery. because back then, she lived a life without honor and died a tragic death. That burial plot was purchased through the intervention of Madame Ju. I was truly grateful at the time, but looking back now, I'm filled with profound melancholy. I moved my mother's ashes out of this cemetery. Jiyu Yangjing purchased a new burial plot. On my mother's birthday, we moved her to her new resting place. There were verdant hills and a gentle stream, with lush trees swaying gracefully, and flowers blanketing the mountains and fields. Mother would have loved them. I knelt before my mother's grave for a long time, repenting for my wrongdoings. I resented her in my youth. I once held bitterness toward her in my heart. How long I knelt. Jiyu Yangjing knelt with me for just as long. At first I was crying, but then I hugged my mother's tombstone and smiled. Mom, this person beside me is Jiyu Yangjing. He cares for me deeply and treats me well. Now you can rest easy, knowing this from beyond. Jiyu Yangjing held my hand firmly. He spoke with utmost sincerity. Auntie, my feelings for her go far beyond mere liking. The breeze swept through, making the spring grass ripple like waves. It's because I love her so much. My heart felt as if brushed by a soft feather. A bittersweet ache swelled within me, threaded through with delicate sweetness. I looked up at him, tears welling in my eyes as a smile broke through. I told him I just made a wish in front of my mom. He held me close and whispered, "What did you wish for?" I smiled faintly and said, "Last year's wishes all came true, so I've made new ones for the coming year. But I can't tell you what they are. If I say them out loud, they won't come true." Jiyu Yangjing held me tighter. Little by little, a smile touched his lips and eyes, deepening gradually. It was a tenderness too profound to dissolve. He must have been thinking of that night in Harbor City too, the moonlight that night. Him and me under its glow, that one line he posted in his moments that evening. Now by his side, I whispered those same words. 22. Zhu Chenglin's perspective. The year Jiyu Yangjing and Fu Jingji got married, I had just turned 30. They say it's the age when a man should stand firm, the prime time for a man to strive and build his future. Yet at 30, I've already started my journey home. I'm the only one left in the Ju family now. But the Ju family business is actually thriving more than ever. When they got married, I sent them an exceptionally generous gift, but they didn't take it. I had also considered transferring some shares to Jingji as a small token of compensation for her and her daughter, but Jingji wouldn't accept them. She said, "All my husband's assets are under my name. I don't need these things. If Mr. Ju truly has more money than he can spend, he should donate to charity." I took her words to heart. He ended up donating nearly half his fortune to charitable causes. For this, he received countless awards and honors of all scales, but I have no interest in these rewards or empty honors. What I truly want is actually quite simple, almost within easy reach. For instance, on a fine day, I could also sit in Jingji's garden and enjoy a cup of tea with her. For instance, when she's cooking hot pot, I could just grab a bowl and join her for a bite. But deep down, I know these moments will never happen in this lifetime. She once said we were nothing more than casual friends. Yet now, even being casual friends feels like an impossible dream. They say words can be self-fulfilling prophecies. So why couldn't Fu Jingji's words come true? Later on, she gave birth to a daughter. I've heard the Jiyu family is one of those centuries-old traditional clans, so I've secretly wondered if the Jiyu family might favor sons over daughters. What if they don't like Jingji's daughter? If Jiyu Yangjing and the Jiyu family treat them poorly, but why would they ever treat her badly? Why would I stoop so low as to wish misfortune upon them? I heard that right after their daughter turned 1 month old, Jiyu Yangjing scheduled a surgery. It was such a minor procedure, barely worth mentioning. Yet Fu Jingji still got all teary-eyed about it. Since when has she become so fragile and prone to tears? When I was sick or injured, she never cried like this. And that time she hurt her hand. Even when a chunk of her skin was torn off, she toughed it out without breaking down sobbing. Speaking of the scar on her hand, she actually got that scar protecting me. That was Fu Jingji, who shielded me from the shattered bottle without a second thought. She must have truly loved me back then. I was the one who lost her. What a pity. I thought again of those rings Jiyu Yangjing had given her. One of them, surprisingly, was also 8 carats, but she rarely wore them out. The ring she wears most often is their wedding band. It's an understated Bulgari band. She doesn't try to hide the scar, wearing it openly for all to see. We've known each other for so many years. When I really stopped to think about it, all I ever left her was this unsightly scar. When their daughter was 3 years old, I placed a substantial sum of money in a trust. When she turns 18, the money will be transferred to her name. I donated all my other assets. The year I turned 36 was my zodiac year. They say your zodiac year brings a trial. If you can't make it through, you're doomed for all eternity. But I didn't make it through, to be precise. That calamity was one I brought upon myself. The day Beijing saw its first snow again, I sealed the car windows and doors tight, then lit the charcoal. In the final fleeting dream, it felt as if Jingji and I had traveled back to our teenage years. She was secretly sharing a baked sweet potato with Jiyu Yangjing. I watched from the shadows not far away, my gaze bleak. I observed her happiness with envy, yet felt a pang of resentment. But this time, I didn't stay hidden. Instead, I ran over and tightly grasped Jingji's hand. Hurry, Fu Jingji, come back with me. Any later and your mother will die. I kept pulling her along as we ran forward, running without stopping. Finally, in that illusory dream, I completely altered the fate of her and her mother, and she ended up smoothly getting together with Jiyu Yangjing. They kept their relationship under wraps until college, when they finally went public with their families, and then, they were showered with heartfelt blessings. After that, they smoothly tied the knot and welcomed a daughter. But for my entire life, I'll always remain just an ordinary friend to her, nothing more. The end. Story 2. I stole Durant's top-ranking class, and the very next day her childhood sweetheart confessed to me. With that devilishly handsome face of his, he asked me, "Come into my world and be a slacker with me." Okay, hell yes, I agreed instantly, finally tasting those lips I'd coveted for so long. Later, my grades gradually plummeted to last place, while I explored every inch of Lu Yining's body. On the day after our college entrance exams, he kissed me first for once, asking me to join him at vocational college. I knew that had been his endgame all along, but this time, I just waved my Tsinghua admission letter. Had great fun hanging out with you this year. But my future's calling, can't tag along anymore. 1. The day I overheard Lu Yining and Durant's conversation, I just finished estimating my Gaokao scores, 720, that was last year's provincial top scorer's raw score. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, Durant's familiar voice rang out from behind the door. Lu Yining, don't forget you haven't won our bet yet. Only if you make Qiao Yu attend vocational college with you will you truly beat me. Lu Yining clearly didn't take her words seriously. Can't you see her current scores? Barely over 400 points, what decent university would accept that? Durant argued. But her foundation is solid. What if, even if she performs exceptionally well, don't I have the final say on which school she attends? Hearing this, the previously silent onlookers burst into mocking laughter. Those who'd been sweet-talking me as sister-in-law moments ago were now hurling the cruelest insults. Given how desperately Qiao Yu fawns over brother Ning, she'd jump at the chance to collect trash with him, let alone attend some vocational college together. Exactly, everyone at No. 1 High knows she went from top of the class to dead last just to be with Ning. What wouldn't this lovesick fool do for him? Another round of knowing laughter followed. I heard every word clearly, but remained completely unfazed, for a beauty like Lu Yining. What's the big deal about playing along and flunking a few tests to keep him happy? When no one's watching, Lu Yining certainly knows how to repay me in the most physical way. Just remembering how Lu Yining transforms from his usual aloof demeanor to that irresistible look in bed, those glistening eyes, those moistened lips, my brief reverie was abruptly interrupted by the next person's teasing remark. He winked suggestively at Durant. Ranjie, if Qiao Yu finds out this was all your revenge, she'd probably despise you to death. Durant shot him a disgusted eye roll. Dumbass, it's freaking obvious, why even ask? But this time, they were wrong. I don't resent Durant at all. In fact, I'm deeply grateful to her. After all, for someone with a face as flat as dough that wouldn't even leave an impression if pressed into it, the chance to win a beauty like Lu Yining was a gift Durant personally handed me. 2. Since childhood, I've known my only talent lies in academics. While others struggled to memorize texts, I could recite them perfectly after just one read. Concepts click instantly, tough problems unravel effortlessly. But I also knew standing out too much in this mediocre town wouldn't do me any favors, so even though I had to top the class for the annual scholarship, I always kept my lead over Durant in second place within 5 points. There was just one exception, the day before the monthly exam. I saw Lu Yining and Zhu Ran kissing outside the examination hall, the breathtakingly handsome boy and the delicate, charming girl. It should have been a scene straight out of a manga, yet I burned with jealousy. During the math test, I couldn't resist solving an extra long answer question. Then in the physics exam, I petulantly aced every multiple choice question. I outscored Zhu Ran by a full 35 points in that monthly exam. Afterwards, I kicked myself for days over losing my cool. On the third day, Lu Yining suddenly appeared before me, wearing a bright yellow number 23 jersey. He jogged up to me with an apologetic look on his handsome face. "Sorry about that, classmate. My shot went wide and hit you by accident. Are you okay? Do you need me to take you to the infirmary?" Even a blind man could see that basketball wasn't coming at me by mistake. Just as I knew perfectly well, Lu Yining's sudden interest in me had everything to do with Zhu Ran. Maybe it was to stand up for her. Or maybe it was a bet with her. But whatever the reason was, that was my only chance to get close to Lu Yining. 3. Damn right. I wanted Lu Yining for myself, from the very first moment I laid eyes on him. For, I must say, Lu Yining appeared at the most perfect moment. For 17 years before he came into my life, I had only one dream. When my father would come home dead drunk, his fists raining down on me like a violent storm. When my mother tried to sell 13-year-old me to a 50-year-old widower for his second marriage, just to save up dowry money for my brother, get into the best university and escape this place. Not for a single moment did I forget or slack off. Later, even when casually picking up the notoriously difficult 2022 new Gaokao math paper, I still aced it effortlessly with a perfect score. I know China's top universities are well within my reach. I'm just waiting for next year's college entrance exam to make that perfect shot. Looking back at my dull 17 years, all I see is a depressing childhood and mind-numbing years of rote learning. That day when Shandong TV replayed Leon Lai's No Regrets, I found myself staring at that handsome, rakish face on screen, lost in thought for the longest time. How wonderful it would be to fall in love with such a beautiful boy at 17. Then Lu Yining appeared. He was even younger and more gorgeous than Leon Lai in The Breaking Point. His jersey clung teasingly to his lean muscles with every movement, stirring my deepest desires. I want him, but I can't have him. Like I said before, I've put all my skill points into studying. Other than that, I'm utterly ordinary. Just another face in the crowd, the kind of person Lu Yining, who's always in the spotlight, wouldn't even glance at twice. But now, Zhu Ran had delivered him right into my hands. 5. I pretended not to notice, gladly accepting every one of Lu Yining's deliberate advances afterward. Whether in the bustling cafeteria or the emptying gymnasium, Lu Yining always managed to stage these chance encounters with me. His lingering gazes grew longer, his eyes burned hotter, until one day he finally pushed through the crowd toward me. "Qiao Yu, I love you, will you be with me?" As I threw myself into his arms, I pretended not to see the disdain he tried to hide behind those long lashes. I simply closed my eyes and breathed deeply, taking in his comforting scent, a blend of licorice and laundry detergent. In books lie golden houses, in books dwell fair maidens. The ancients spoke true indeed, yet I know this fleeting beauty would never truly be mine. Perhaps he'll soon end this game of vengeance, humiliating me publicly to avenge his childhood sweetheart. Or maybe he'll prolong the charade, letting me sink deeper before calling it quits. But I never imagined Lu Ruyu came into my life with the sole purpose of shattering my golden cage. The first time I realized this was at an internet cafe, while quietly working on my 5-3 study materials beside Lu Yining's gaming station. The usually focused man suddenly ripped off his headphones in irritation. Hearing the commotion, I looked up and asked what was wrong. He stared at me for a long moment before speaking with darkened eyes. "I don't like it when you do test papers around me." More than happy to indulge the beauty, I gathered the papers and tossed them aside. "Fine, I won't do them then." He kept staring at me, his expression growing colder. "The gap between us is just too wide. I don't like this." I suddenly realized something, my heart pounding wildly. "So, what do you think would be best?" He suddenly moved closer, until our foreheads were nearly touching, his tone almost cooing. "Why can't you just be a slacker like me?" The screen's blue glow softly reflected in his glass bead eyes as he extended his invitation like a siren luring prey. "Qiao Yu, come into my world and stay with me forever." At that moment, I was nearly ecstatic. So this was what he wanted all along. So this was Durant's true desire. 6. I wrapped my arm around the nape of his neck, tracing the crimson lips I'd coveted for so long. Kiss me. I knew Lu Yining didn't like me, nor did he welcome my touch. Before, I never dared cross the line. Afraid he'd rebel and call off this game at any moment. But now, it's only fair and necessary for him to want something from me in exchange, isn't it? When those soft, cool crimson lips finally pressed against mine with hesitation, I thanked my past self from the bottom of my heart, the one who'd buried herself in books for 12 long years. Xiao Yu, the heavens truly haven't failed you. I stopped reading, stopped studying, and recklessly indulged in dissipation with Lu Yining. My ranking began to slip steadily after that. The first time, of course, was when I lost the top spot to Ju Ran. When the teacher announced Durant's name as the new grade leader for the first time, she was overjoyed. She took the report card and stared at it repeatedly before burying her face in her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I didn't miss the smug glance she threw at my report card, pretending it was accidental, but I chose to play dumb. Silently, I thought to myself, it's time to claim my reward. Just as expected, Lu Yining was overjoyed that day. He came sprinting toward me from afar, his fluttering school uniform sleeves catching both the breeze and sunlight. That's probably why I still felt warmth when he pulled me into his embrace. I asked him why he was so happy. With a smile, he said he'd won a great match today. I smiled too, feigning ignorance about that brilliant match that never happened. I smiled and slipped a room key into his palm. Today's my 18th birthday, celebrate with me, won't you? 7. I thought that night would find me in the rare position of surrender in life's constant power struggle. Surprisingly, someone as effortlessly charming as Lu Yining turned out to be completely inexperienced. The scraps of knowledge he'd picked up from Japanese tutorial videos were no match for my textbook mastery, three-dimensional reasoning, and spatial imagination honed through relentless study. Watching him beneath me, eyes rimmed red yet stubbornly biting back whimpers, I finally understood the truth of book learning remains shallow until experienced firsthand. Though we may have overdone it, at the next day's basketball game, Dunk King Lu Yining's legs gave out mid-leap for the first time ever. Men always fantasize that women remain eternally attached to their first lover. Yet through experience, I've learned that men cannot separate sex from love, in his youthful order. He became addicted to the pleasures of the bed. Outside the bedroom, Lu Yining gradually developed an unconscious closeness toward me. 8. Ju Ran quickly picked up on the subtle shift between me and Lu Yining. She started feeling threatened. After another sleepless night with Lu Yining, Ju Ran cornered me aggressively in the bathroom. Her eyes burned with barely contained fury as they locked onto the faint love bites peeking from my collar. Yet she forced out the words through gritted teeth with venomous sarcasm. You and Lu Yining sure have stamina, don't you get bored doing the same thing over and over? After carefully adjusting my collar to hide the hickey in the mirror, I turned to her with a playful smile. Well, if I shouldn't spend my energy on my boyfriend, where exactly should I spend it? On, I drawled out slowly, about your studies. That day Ju Ran returned in defeat. I can still remember the look on her face to this day. Beneath the surging rage simmered a silent vow of you'll pay for this. Today was apparently the day she'd make me regret everything. 9. The extras quickly took their cue and cleared the stage for the two leads. Through the door crack, I saw Ju Ran settle into Lu Yining's lap, urgently looping her arms around his neck. Yining, it's been so long since we've been intimate. Once she finishes submitting her college applications, you'd better dump her and come back to me. I did promise you. Just help me ruin that bitch, and I'll give myself to you. She leaned in to kiss Lu Yining's lips, but he turned his face away. Perhaps even he himself couldn't fathom why. After dodging away, a faint trace of bewilderment flickered in his eyes. Leaning against the wall, I couldn't suppress a silent chuckle. 10. Lu Yining was born a libertine even during his relationship with Ju Ran. He never stopped shamelessly flirting around without an ounce of restraint, but on the day he confessed his feelings to me, I told him, I'll be your girlfriend, but you can't have anyone else by your side except me. Lu Yining agreed without hesitation, yet he kept making out with pretty classmates on the playground, and his motorcycle still carried one hot babe after another. I quietly treated my own words as worthless, turning a blind eye and deaf ear to it all. Because I had no bargaining chips, that day at the internet cafe, I finally understood my bargaining chip. I never brought up the no other girls rule again, but whenever he got too close to someone, I'd wordlessly grab my backpack and head straight to the study hall. Then my name would silently climb another page on the next exam ranking list. So Lu Yining gave in. He began actively avoiding every female around him, even Ju Ran, his childhood sweetheart, and I returned the favor by firmly anchoring myself at the bottom of the final grade report. Lu Yining's most radiant years finally belonged to me, and me alone. I was thoroughly pleased. 11. Ju Ran finally snapped. You avoid me when Xiao Yu's around, fine, but now she's gone, and you're still acting like her damned widower. Lu Yining, don't tell me you've actually fallen for that nerdy girl. Lu Yining's expression darkened as he pushed her away impatiently. Wasn't it you who insisted on making that bet? If I hadn't stayed faithful to her, how could you have won all those first places? Now that you've got what you wanted, you're turning against me, but I never asked you to go this far. Ju Ran grabbed his collar in agitation. Where have you been these past 2 weeks after the exams? What were you doing with that bitch? Tell me, what were we doing? Exactly what adults do, working through sunset, relentless till sunrise. I understood why Lu Yining suddenly became so clingy, and was willing to compose a perfect finale with him. But I'd severely underestimated his stamina. After multiple failed attempts to stop him, I could only escape during his shower. Otherwise I wouldn't have waited 2 weeks after the college entrance exams before hastily squeezing in a score estimate. Lu Yining could never voice these words. He turned his head away in silence, fingers absently twisting the burnt-out cigarette butt. Ju Ran stamped her foot in fury, raising her hand as if to slap him only to seize his neck in a resentful grip and kiss him again. This time, Lu Yining didn't pull away. I rested my fingers lightly on the windowsill, counting down silently in my heart. Lu Yining adores deep kisses. He always starts by nibbling at the corners of your lips like a rodent, teasing until you're breathless with anticipation before suddenly claiming your mouth. Plundering until the last gasp of oxygen is stolen between you. The whole ritual lasts precisely 2 minutes. His fingers tap in deliberate rhythm, just as the silver strands of saliva trailed from their entangled lips. I raised my hand and pushed the door open. 12. In that split second of opening the door, I truly intended to stage a dramatic caught in the act scene, but the moment the door swung open, it suddenly struck me, petty theatrics weren't worth the effort. How about? We cut straight to the main event. My expression instantly shifted to surprise as I stared at the 2 flustered individuals before me. Why just the 2 of you? Where are the others? Didn't we agree to check scores together? Damn right. Today was the day national college entrance exam results were released. In previous years, everyone checked their scores at home and then submitted screenshots to the school for grade compilation. But this year, the principal suddenly demanded all students come to school to check their scores together. I knew it was his precious daughter Ju Ran's idea. For one, Ju Ran predicted she'd score 656, the highest in the history of this under-resourced county high school. Of course she needs us NPCs as her cheering audience during her triumphant moments. Secondly, she couldn't wait to witness with her own eyes how her lifelong rival, who'd always overshadowed her, was now being dragged into the mud and utterly crushed beneath her feet. Before Lu Yining could even wipe the panic off her face, hearing me mention only this made her brows gradually relax. I was about to respond when I suddenly changed tack. But why are your lips so red? Did you eat something bad? Even if we're not putting on this show, it's fine to trip up that cheating bastard, right? Lu Yining's body froze abruptly. Before he could stammer out a lie, chaotic footsteps suddenly clattered at the doorway. Moments later, the principal marched into the classroom with a horde of people. Come on, set up the camera right here. Is the live stream signal properly set up, and the audio? Check the equipment now. Watching the chaotic scene unfold before me, a slow smile curved my lips. Seems he's determined to broadcast his daughter's /moment of glory / for the whole world to see. Since our dear principal has gone to such lengths, why don't I take this stage he's built and deliver a spectacular performance? 13. The principal's arrival also interrupted the delicate conversation between me and Lu Yining. He quietly exhaled in relief and quickly pulled me toward the computer. It's almost 9 o'clock, let's hurry and find a camera spot. I subtly dodged his hand without leaving a trace. All right. As 9 o'clock approached, all examinees quickly entered the room. The first batch occupying the computers were sweating nervously over the score inquiry button, while those waiting in line behind them were practically itching to press it for them. Soon, exclamations of surprise erupted one after another in the crowded computer lab. "I broke 600, Mom, your boy made it. I can actually get into a freaking 211 university. Damn it, did they grade this wrong? How did I only get 68 in physics? Goddamn," as everyone else's scores kept popping up. Durant's page remained stuck loading, making her nearly curse out loud, but the moment she opened her mouth and saw all those camera lenses pointed straight at her, she swallowed her words. After one final refresh, her transcript finally popped up on the screen. Durant's eyes grew wider with each line she scanned down the transcript. 660, that's 4 points higher than I estimated. Dad, I got into Fudan University. She leapt from her seat in excitement and hugged the principal, whose face was equally flushed with joy. Many livestream viewers who'd experienced similar life moments firsthand flooded the chat with congratulations. Congratulations to this young lady on her academic success, a brand new chapter awaits. Scoring this well in a small town with limited educational resources is no small feat. You should be proud of yourself. Kiddo, thumbs up. Durant had already burst into happy tears, wiping her eyes while thanking the live comments. After bowing with another thank you all, her gaze unexpectedly landed on me. The moment our eyes met, her lips curled into a delighted smile as she eagerly pointed at me to introduce me to the stream. "What you might not know is, I actually wasn't the top student in our school before. This is our classmate Qiao Yu." She deliberately drew out her words. She used to hold the top academic ranking for an entire year straight. The live chat immediately erupted with impatient comments. "Hurry up and have her check the scores. Let's see what top of the class performance looks like." Durant saw this comment and was practically bursting with smugness, yet deliberately put on a regretful expression. But later on, this classmate of ours got so caught up in dating that her grades plummeted. Now she can't even score 400 points. The comments were flooding in faster than ever, not with mockery, but with collective heartbreak from countless viewers. "Child, when you grow up, you'll realize how foolish it was to let fleeting romance derail your studies. The former top student of your grade, what a tragic waste of potential. God, how I regret not studying harder in high school. All my old friends got into great universities and landed decent jobs, while I, if I could do it over, I'd give it everything I've got. No regrets this time." But these are lessons only experience can teach. Don't beat yourself up, girl. It's never too late to turn things around. Hell, you're only 18. Once you get past this rough patch, you'll have your whole life ahead of you. These clearly weren't the words Durant wanted to hear. Her expression darkened momentarily before she forced a smile and started hurrying me along. "Absolutely, it's never too late. Qiao Yu, hurry up and check your scores. Let's see what starting point you'll begin working from after the college entrance exams." Lu Yining beside them had already checked their scores, a precise 400 points, down to the single digit. Watching my motionless hands, he offered comfort, whether genuine or feigned, saying, "Qiao Yu, don't be afraid, you've always scored a few points higher than me. I got 400, so you must be 400 plus. We'll both get into a Shanghai vocational college, no problem. Then we can stay together." Oh, even for a vocational college, he insists I follow him to Shanghai. He's determined to make sure I endure his mistress's humiliation all 4 years. These two are absolutely ruthless. At Durant's signal, all cameras suddenly swiveled toward me. Every single person, including the 50,000 plus live stream viewers, had their eyes glued to my score-checking page. "Hurry up, Qiao Yu, everyone's waiting," Durant urged impatiently once more. I chuckled, "That's wonderful," then reached for the mouse. 14. "Qiao Yu, don't be upset. Vocational colleges aren't all bad. Sure, the faculty's weak, but the tuition's steep. The job prospects may be grim, but the campus is a dump too. You." The screen refreshed the next second, freezing Durant's triumphant smirk mid-smile. She screamed, "What is this? Impossible. Dad, get the admin now. The system's glitching. Hurry." Nobody paid any attention to her outburst at that moment. When the row of blank scores and the line of bold text below flashed across the live broadcast screen, the barrage comments froze for a second before exploding like crazy. "Holy crap, am I seeing this right? Blank scores, Top 50 in the province, a shielded top performer. Weren't you supposed to go to community college? What's this about, girl? Thank God I randomly clicked into this stream. Am I about to witness the birth of a provincial champion? Sweet merciful heavens. Don't get ahead of yourself. Making top 50 is already insane, but the provincial champion, there's only one per province. The odds are practically zero. The next second, my phone on the desk buzzed with a notification. Dear Xiao Yu, this is Professor Lee from Peking University's W Province admissions team. Congratulations on your outstanding Gaokao results. We'll arrive at 2 p.m. today to discuss. The barrage comments froze for 2 full seconds. Holy shit, Tsinghua Beidar already. That response time, she's gotta be the provincial top scorer. No doubt about it. Girls, Peking U's admissions team rushed over overnight. Sobbing emoji. Tsinghua's crew is probably on their way too. Crying face. OMG, how can some people's lives be this blessed? I wouldn't even dare dream this big. Move aside. All of you upstairs, stop with this nonsense. Sweetie, let Auntie bask in your lucky vibes. Need some of that mojo for my hopeless daughter. Pass me that luck +1. Gimme that good fortune +10086611. Lu Yining stared in disbelief at the unfolding scene, his gaze unfocused from the relentless shocks. Only when Zhu Ran beside him began screaming hysterically, finally snapping under reality's weight, did he jolt awake and turn to me. Ciao. But before he could utter another word, the swarming reporters shoved him out of the crowd. How could some random nobody ever compare to the only provincial top scholar in the county's history? Forget about him, even the principal and his daughter who invited these reporters couldn't get a single glance from the crowd. No matter how loudly they shouted, Zhu Ran could do nothing but seethe with impotent rage. 15. The live stream peaked at over 1 million concurrent viewers. As countless video clips went viral overnight, my name became a national sensation. People couldn't stop gossiping about this community college to Tsinghua spectacle. Public curiosity about whether I was actually the top scorer piqued. Rumor had it over 1 million people placed bets on whether this vocational schoolgirl could clinch the Gaokao champion title. When my 726-point Gaokao score, a new provincial science stream record, was revealed 3 days later, the entire internet exploded. Even Pulp Fiction wouldn't dare write this. Witness the birth of a true legend. That night, state media officially reposted clips of my live score-checking session with the caption, "They say underprivileged students can't produce top scholars anymore, yet here comes this remarkable woman soaring against the wind." Meanwhile, many spectators reviewing the livestream picked up on the subtle tension between me, Lu Yining, and Zhu Ran. Students from No. 1 high school, who'd been holding back for ages, finally saw their chance to spill the tea and logged on in droves. As a No. 1 high insider, I'm exposing this. Lu Yining was originally Zhu Ran's boyfriend. When Zhu got salty about Xiao Yu stealing her top rank, let's be real, she just couldn't compete. She sent her pretty but dumb boyfriend Lu to seduce Xiao Yu, dragging her to skip classes, drink, and party, trying to ruin her. But plot twist, the legendary rain god Xiao was an actual genius, while pretending to spiral into delinquency to fool those snakes. She was secretly prepping her ultimate move, dominating the college entrance exam. Absolutely wrecked those schemers. Did y'all see Zhu Ran's epic meltdown live? This former Zhu bullied nobody is screaming. So damn satisfying. All hail rain god. Holy shit. So this is a story about a genius seeing through a toxic couple's revenge plot, playing their handsome but rotten pawn, then waltzing into Tsinghua University. Even trashy web novels wouldn't dare write something this wild. Rain god is my one true deity. Dating the school bully while acing Tsinghua exams, absolute legend. Lu Yining called just as I stumbled upon this post, scrolling through the comments with pure delight. Truth is, he'd been blowing up my phone non-stop since the day scores were released, but I've got no time for that. I'm too busy managing my social media accounts across all platforms. Online traffic is fleeting, I must seize every opportunity. The past was rough, the future's uncertain. And there'll be plenty of expenses ahead. While tutoring online, I compiled my 2 years of high school study notes across all subjects, incorporating carefully curated learning methods, and launched a marketable digital version called Top Scorers Notes. Riding the wave of my current popularity, the product became an instant hit upon release. Countless students purchased it and left grateful comments. saying it provided much-needed academic guidance during their struggles, with many requesting more diverse content from me in the future. Through this virtuous cycle, sales of Top Scorers notes continued to soar. The day our sales hit 8 figures with revenue surpassing 10 million, I gazed at the bright-eyed girl in the mirror and finally exhaled. At last, I've laid the first brick of my golden future, and finally carved out a future where the storm clouds have parted. 16. I was about to hang up on Lu Yining as usual when the call disconnected itself. Several text messages popped up simultaneously. It's my birthday today. Could you come see me? I've sent you a same-city delivery. I'll keep waiting until you come. The doorbell rang. A delivery had arrived. It was a keycard, the exact same keycard I'd handed him a year ago. How ironic, the stories come full circle. Yet Lu Yining and I have completely switched roles. 17. The door to room 401 wasn't fully closed. When I pushed it open, Lu Yining immediately pulled me into a tight embrace. His arms crushed me with such force I thought he might fuse us together, warm droplets falling onto my neck. I don't care that you lied to me. Nor do I care whether your grades are good or bad. I just want to be with you. Wherever you go, I'll follow. If Tsinghua is your dream, I'll apply to schools in Beijing. Let's stay together always. Okay, promise. He looked up at me, the upturned corners of his eyes still glistening with unshed tears. Absolutely breathtaking. My fingers reached out, gently brushing through his hair as tenderly as always. Yet the words that left my lips were ice cold. Won't Ju Ran be furious? You've lost the bet, Lu Yining. His face turned deathly pale in an instant. So you did hear it. He cradled my face, his voice trembling. No, Qiao Yu. That was before, when I didn't know you, didn't understand you. That's why Ju Ran's taunt made me take that stupid bet. But I regret it. I've regretted it for so long. Only now do I truly understand my heart, Qiao Yu. I love you. I really do. Let's just leave the past behind us. Okay, we can start over. His eyes held such hopeful anticipation that it hurt to refuse. But I'm Qiao Yu. I don't do mercy. Under his expectant gaze, I spoke softly. Did you hear that, Ju Ran? Lu Yining froze. Then he looked down and saw my phone screen displaying an active call with the caller ID, Ju Ran. Ju Ran's voice dripped with venom, every syllable oozing hatred like a demon crawling from the depths of hell. You filthy bitch. Qiao Yu, think you've beaten me. Don't celebrate too soon. Getting into Tsinghua means nothing. I've got 100 ways to crush trash like you. And Lu Yining, you really think there's still a chance with this slut? I'm telling you, she knew all along. She knew our plan from the start. She was just using you to get back at me. You're nothing but her revenge tool, a fucking living dildo. Now that she's done with you, she'll toss you aside like trash. Bang! Lu Yining hurled his phone across the room, silencing it instantly. Rage and terror racked his body with tremors. His lips parted, but no words came out. After a long silence, he suddenly lunged forward and kissed me. His trembling hands fumbled to undo my collar. I didn't pull away, made no resistance. Let him have his way. Back when I'd see him entangled with other girls and turn to leave for the library, he'd always drag me back from the study hall. This was his way of making it up to me. In Lu Yining's mind, he probably believes there's nothing in this world that can't be solved with a night in bed. Oh Lu Yining, how could you be so naive? His breathing grew heavier as my clothes were slowly pulled away. Then, everything came to an abrupt halt. 18. When his lips brushed a particular spot on my chest, Lu Yining suddenly froze wide-eyed as if scalded. What's happened to you? I chuckled and pointed at the gruesome scar. You mean right here? This one's from when your childhood sweetheart burned me with a candle, and this one too. I pointed to the engraving on the other side. She called me worthless trash, yet dared to crave things beyond my station, so she carved the character, worthless, into my chest with a compass needle, branding me forever with my lowly status. Though Lu Yining and I had shared countless nights together, the darkness had always concealed these scars until today, when he saw them for the first time. A parting gift from his precious childhood sweetheart. His mind went blank as he struggled to get up, but I held him down. I gripped his trembling hand tightly, dragging it downward to his waist, and here, a small patch of missing flesh exposed the raw, angry-looking blood vessels beneath. She set her dog on me. It kept biting and tearing at me. She said the pain would teach me a lesson. Lu Yining's voice began to tremble. Why would she do this? For the same reason you approached me. Obviously. I looked down at him, tracing my fingers along his flawless face. Lu Yining, have you ever considered Ju Ran is the dean's daughter, with countless ways to crush an aunt like me? Why would she specifically drag you into this? Because, you see, I've blocked every other path she could take. 19. I'd been enduring Ju Ran's bullying for a long time. Ever since that day in freshman year when I topped the class for the first time, she cornered me in the girls' bathroom, slapping my face repeatedly with a used sanitary pad. I was the top student for 3 straight years in middle school, and now you waltz in and snatch it right from me. She balled up that filthy, blood-stained mess and shoved it violently into my mouth. Thought you had a lucky start. Here, let me make you even luckier. Swallow it. Dare to spit it out. I'll smash your teeth in if you do. I'm not some pushover who'll take bullying lying down, so I told the teacher, who fell silent for a long moment before taking me to the principal's office. The principal straightened his expensive suit jacket and asked me with a frown, "Xiao Yu, I'll admit my daughter can be a bit spoiled, but don't you share some blame when someone takes your things?" He patted me on the shoulder. "One should learn to reflect on their faults and know their place, don't you think?" That's when I knew I couldn't take the top spot in class anymore. Back then, I'd already been kicked out by my parents for refusing to marry as they wished. My annual scholarship was the only thing keeping me in school. How am I supposed to pay tuition without the scholarship? I took a part-time job washing dishes and serving tables at a diner after night classes. The kind owner always let me nap on the bench during slow hours, fussing over how skinny I was and often cooking me hearty dishes. But then a regular customer who'd always praised my work ethic reported her for hiring underage labor. She got fined heavily and lost her business license. I forced a bitter smile. You see, life's always so damn hard for the poor. That's why I spent the whole night by the dumpster at the street corner. And then it hit me, I still had to be the top scorer. I've got to keep studying. Rather than being ground down by a hopeless life, I take Ju Ran's beatings any day. But you know what? Ju Ran refused to hit me anymore. She said she was tired of beating me. Her dear father suggested finding an excuse to fire her instead. Out of sight, out of mind with that tactless fool. See, I've struggled for years just to find a way out, but one word from the powers that be cuts off all paths. But I won't accept this fate. I'll force Ju Ran to make his move again. I looked down at my clenched fist. The story about the monthly exam was just a lie I made up on the spot for Lu Yining. My obsession with Lu Yining's looks was real, but compared to my future, he meant nothing. I deliberately outscored Ju Ran by so much in that exam, and it had nothing to do with Lu Yining. But that day, as expected, she was furious. She cornered me in the back alley right after school. That alley was her usual spot for settling scores. It was secluded and rarely had any foot traffic. There's enough room for both her and her dog to move around. The agonized moans echoed back, doubling the abuser's sick pleasure. That day, I was badly hurt. I crawled out of the alley covered in blood, but I knew I'd found my way out. I turned my palm toward him, revealing a pitch-black SD card. The dashcam at the alley entrance captured Ju Ran abusing me in its entirety. I told Ju Ran, "If you lay hands on me again, if I get expelled, this video will go viral on every platform." Ju Ran thinks I'm insane. In that video, I stripped you naked and made you crawl on all fours like a dog. How dare you release such footage? Xiao Yu, aren't you afraid of ruining yourself? I burst into laughter and asked her, "Ju Ran, I'm willing to wallow in the mud, but are you? Do you have the guts?" Of course she didn't, yet she couldn't swallow her pride, so she chose to send you to me. 20. Lu Yining shook her head in disbelief. / I didn't know any of this. / I nodded. / I know perfectly well the bullying had nothing to do with you. / Otherwise, sleeping with someone who bullied you, that's disgusting, isn't it? A sudden glint flashed in his eyes. Then shall we? I cut him off before he could finish that fantasy. Yet you aided the tyrant, equally vile and wicked. Ignoring his ashen face, I drove each word straight to his heart. Then why did you rage just now? Ju Ran was right, I'm going to make her pay. Why should victims suffer for life while bullies get to live carefree? I'll take everything she holds dear with my own hands. Rankings, love, future prospects. I'll personally see her locked away, making sure she remembers with every passing minute behind bars that she lost everything because of every slap she dealt, every scar she left. It's the wheel of karma turning. She's getting exactly what she deserves. And you're just one of the instruments of this retribution. Lu Yining swayed slightly, then after a long pause spoke to me with difficulty. Have you really never liked me at all? Of course, I liked your face, I liked your body, but I never liked you as a person, not for a single second. 21. As I turned to leave, a dull thud came from behind the door. It was the sound of Lu Yining collapsing to the floor in exhaustion. Without hesitation, I pushed the door shut and turned the lock. By now, Ju Ran has probably been taken to the police station. Before coming to find Lu Yining, I filed a report at the police station. I submitted the video as evidence and got my injuries documented at the hospital. Next, I'll be filing a lawsuit. I'll hire the best lawyer to make sure that Devil gets the punishment she deserves. Something's digging painfully into my hand. I looked down, the SD card had cut into my palm from how tightly I'd been clenching my fist. Blood dripped onto the black SD card, instantly draining its color, just like that night. The rain poured heavily that day. After Ju Ran vented his anger and left, I waited by the car, covered in blood. When I finished explaining, the car owner's face showed pity as he said, I truly sympathize with your situation, but Principal Ju wields immense influence in our small town. I'm sorry. I can't afford to take that risk. I didn't press further and walked away. Yet the next day, that car owner intercepted me after school and handed me this SD card, seeing my still battered body. She turned away awkwardly to wipe her tear-streaked eyes, her voice trembling. I have a daughter too. No mother with a daughter could bear to watch that scene. I didn't tell her. That back alley has 3 exits. That night, a car was parked near every exit, between the black BMW and grey Volvo. I chose the pink Xpeng at the 3rd exit, its body plastered with pink crystal Barbie stickers. When Ju Ran was torturing me, I desperately positioned myself within the dashcam's view of that car. See how wicked I am. I schemed against an innocent, kind-hearted mother, but for one never favored by fate, the only choice is to desperately cling to every possible advantage. I had no other choice. As I stepped out of the hotel, the howling wind had died down and the rain ceased. The sun finally broke through the clouds, casting its light equally upon everyone, myself included. I blinked. Qiao Yu, if life would no longer be stormy from now on, you'd choose to be a good person, wouldn't you? 22. After wavering between the 2 admission teams for quite some time, I ultimately chose Tsinghua University's Yarrow class. I've waded through the ordinary world, longing to witness the brilliance where elites gather. My parents, absent for 3 whole years, suddenly reappeared after seeing the news, claiming they'd missed me terribly. My response, an immediate U-turn, blocking and deleting them at lightning speed. They exploded with rage, completely losing it. You think we ever wanted you? Your original name was Qiao Yu, the Yu meaning surplus, because you were an unwanted girl. The only reason you're called Qiao Yu now is because of a clerical error on your household registration. No one in this family, no one in this world, ever welcomed you. You're nothing but an unwanted mistake. You should be groveling with gratitude that we even let you live and raised you. They threatened to demand alimony from me. Or else they'd go to the media and expose me as the so-called internet's hottest top scorer who abandoned my poor parents after making it big, ruining my reputation forever. I said fine. Then I'd post daily on my million-follower account about how this family was so broke they had to sell off their daughter to fund their son's wedding. I'd also plaster the internet with my brother's drug addiction and my younger brother's gambling debts, dragging the whole family down with my ruined future. And then the world was finally at peace. That day I happily hummed a tune all the way. I'm Qiao Yu, and I'm not redundant. 23. In my sophomore year, I was invited to give the keynote speech at the first lecture of the semester. I poured more heart into that speech preparation than ever before. Because I knew the cameras might capture countless children trapped in the same struggles I once faced. That day, I wore my finest outfit and presented myself to them with the most uplifting demeanor. I want them to see what it looks like when someone climbs out of the mire. I want to plant a seed in their hearts. At the end of my speech, I spread my arms toward the camera. If you're trapped in the swamp, if everything around is pulling you down, remember to cut through thorns for your raft. And stack burdens to make your stepping stones. Only you can pull yourself out of the mire to see the wilderness, chase the stars, and journey afar. I'll go ahead first and wait for your arrival down the road. After stepping off stage, a senior who was also one of the guest speakers called out to me. We're all planning to grab dinner together after the event. Care to join us? Junior, I was about to say yes when I spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Our eyes met, and as he turned to leave, I called out to stop him. Wait, 24. It's been over a year since Lu Yining and I last saw each other at the hotel. His face remained as strikingly handsome as ever, yet the defiant spark in his eyes had faded, replaced by visible exhaustion between his brows. Clutching the hem of his clothes with nervous tension, I didn't mean to disturb you, just wanted to watch you from afar. After saying this, he gazed at me with such profound intensity as if trying to compress time into a single moment. Tucking it away to sustain him through the long solitude ahead, after what felt like an eternity, he finally looked away with a self-deprecating smile. At first, I kept telling myself that time would dull even the strongest emotions, that maybe there'd still be a chance for us. But as I watched you shine brighter and your world expand, I finally understood you're a bird meant to soar to your own mountain. Someone like me isn't worth looking back for. Unmoved by his poetic lament, I gave a non-committal reply and handed him a bank card. There's 50,000 in this account, every penny I spent during our time together. After getting together with Lu Yining, I had no qualms about letting him take care of all my expenses. He covered everything, my tuition, living costs, even travel and shopping sprees. Back then, many people called me shameless for taking advantage of a man. But so what? From now on, I no longer need to pinch pennies or walk on eggshells. My youth gained its brilliance early, right at 18. Why the hell not? Lu Yining instinctively tried to push the card back to me, but I stopped him. Lu Yining, I'm giving you this money not because I owe you anything. I laughed. Back then I was just cashing in on my own potential. Now, I'm here to collect what's mine. 25. As I turned to leave, Lu Yining called out to me from behind. Qiao Yu, I'll never meet someone like you again in this lifetime. His voice was thick with lingering affection and regret. I didn't look back, just waved my hand. Of course, I'm one of a kind, blazing like the sun. Lu Yining, this is goodbye for good. 26. Everyone else had already headed to the dinner spot. Only my senior was still waiting for me by the exit. When he saw me come out, he jerked his chin toward Lu Yining's direction. Ex-boyfriend. I nodded with a smile. You only beat me if you make Qiao Yu go to college with you. I am indeed good-looking. The kind of face no girl can resist, but a face like his would be hard to find a match for anywhere in the country. I raised an eyebrow, signaling him to get to the point. He straightened his expression and said earnestly, Qiao Yu, now that you're in university, have your dating preferences changed? He pointed at himself. Take me for example, my family has impeccable reputation. I studied under renowned mentors, published in Science and Nature, my field has great prospects. And I'm highly motivated. Would I have the honor of being considered as a potential partner? I simply smiled without comment, neither affirming nor denying. The road ahead is long, why rush into decisions? Keep climbing peaks, and boundless vistas will follow. My name is Qiao Yu, not the superfluous Yu, not the rain that falls with wind, it's the rain from the dormant dragon shall drink its fill of rain someday. While the crane soars skyward today, I shall ring true, I shall pierce the heavens.